gentlemen, the President of the United States of America and Mrs. Johnson.
Mr. President, medalists, distinguished guests, the medals to be awarded today are the highest recognition offered by the American government through its president for distinguished service to humanity through science. Now, it's most appropriate, Mr. President, that the award of the National Medal of Science should be one of the last acts of your administration. The reason I say this is that this award has achieved its prominence and luster during your term of office. You have awarded all but one of the 51 medals which have been conferred to date. 10 years ago, this medal did not exist. In 1959, the Congress passed the bill establishing the medal, and President Eisenhower signed it into law. But it was not until 1962 that President Kennedy announced the first presentation of the award to Dr. Theodore von Karman, a man who had simultaneously been an outstanding scientist, engineer, mathematician, and teacher, and who died shortly thereafter. And now, since that time, President Johnson has presented this award to 50 of our most outstanding scientists, engineers, and mathematicians. With so many different awards and prizes around, it is difficult for a new one to establish itself, either in the public mind or the scientific community. And yet the National Medal of Science has emerged in the last 6 years as an award of the highest luster and importance. And there are two factors primarily responsible for this: the diligence and skill of the President's Selection Committee, many of whom are here today, and the great perception of the President himself. The sterling, unassailable front-rank quality of the recipients of this medal has convinced the scientific community, the American public, and the world of the quality of this award. And of course, the third factor essential to the stature of the award is that it wouldn't have been possible if there weren't scientific merit available to be honored. And we're a fortunate nation, Mr. President, one which has emerged from the shadows in science in the last 30 years to become the undisputed world leader by any measure which I can conceive. The acceleration and achievement in nearly every field is breathtaking. Half of the Nobel Prizes in physiology and medicine, chemistry and physics have come to Americans in recent years, and in 1968, in fact, all 5 of the awards went to Americans. And in short, Mr. President, this country has every reason to be proud of its scientists, its mathematicians, and its engineers, and we can be especially proud of the medalists today.
Please be seated. Dr. Horning, Mr. Vice President, Dr. Horning, members of the Cabinet, members of the Congress, medalists, distinguished guests. I was delayed a short time because of the stimulating conversation I was having with a man who's made a great contribution to science, the new Secretary of Agriculture, who is with us this morning, Dr. Hardin. Dr. Hardin, would you please stand and take a bow? It was a century ago that Joseph Henry, the first secretary of the Smithsonian Institution, stated that modern civilization depends on science. Science is the pursuit above all which impresses us with the capacity of man for intellectual and moral progress. We have known these truths since Benjamin Franklin founded the American Philosophical Society in 1743. And over the several hundred years following, we thought we did pretty well in some areas of science and its application. I suppose the major areas of achievement then were in agriculture and perhaps transportation. Still, in all, this country entered World War II without a well-established reputation in science. I think all of us can be proud of how things have changed for the better since then. Science is knowledge, and knowledge knows no national boundaries. But achievements in science can still be identified with the societies which made them possible. Just last week, in this very room, it was my great privilege and high honor as president to honor the three great young men, the American astronauts, who went to the moon and back. We've also solved some of the riddles of heredity and done research on the cells of the body, which we hope may someday provide us with a cure for cancer. Our astronomers and our high-energy physicists have learned very extraordinary things about the most distant parts of the universe and about its tiniest building blocks. Our engineers and our architects have built many of the world's finest buildings and bridges and ships and aircraft. And there is greatness in these achievements. And so we have come here today to this room to honor some of the very best of those who have made these achievements possible. All of us have stood on the shoulders of the giants of the past. But these men today will be remembered as the giants of today. We cannot deceive ourselves, and we must not deceive ourselves, that we have found the best way of doing things yet. We must just never permit our methods, however successful, to ever harden and to freeze our new ideas and our new approaches to things. You who are receiving this award today have done your best, and you've earned your country's praise and your country's recognition. But I think you know perhaps better than the rest of us do that there is so much yet undone. I just cannot refrain from telling you this story because it applies to nearly everything I'm doing these last few days in office. It is said that the Prime Minister Churchill in the concluding period of World War II was visited by a group of ladies belonging to the Temperance League to protest the Prime Minister's drinking habits. And one of the little ladies that was chairman of the committee in her tennis shoes said, "Mr. Prime Minister, we are informed that if all the alcohol, the brandy that you have consumed during World War II were emptied in this room, it would come up to about here." And the Prime Minister looked at the floor, and then looked at the high ceiling, looked at the relative example that the little lady had used, and he said graciously, "My dear little lady, so little have I done, so much I have yet to do." So I would say, even to you great leaders in this great field, so little have we done, so much we have yet to do. This medal must symbolize the accomplishments of the past only as our foundation for the future. It's a great privilege to have you here tonight.
H. Albert Barker for his profound study of the chemical activities of microorganisms, including the unraveling of fatty acid metabolism and the discovery of the active coenzyme form of vitamin B12. Bernard B. Brodie, for pioneering new qualitative concepts which have revolutionized the development, the study, and the effective use of therapeutic agents in the treatment of human disease. Detlev W. Bronx, for his highly original research in the field of physiology and for his manifold contributions to the advance of science and its institutions in the service of society. J.L. Lush, for bringing the science of genetics to bear upon animal breeding, and thus helping to remold the flocks and herds of America and Western Europe. B. Frederic Skinner, for basic and imaginative contributions to the study of behavior, which have had profound influence upon all of psychology and many related areas. J. Presper Ecikert, for pioneering and continuing contributions in creating, developing, and improving the high-speed electronic digital computer. Nathan M. Newmark, for contributions to the development of powerful and widely used methods for analyzing complex structural components and assemblies under a variety of conditions of loading. Jerzy Newman, for laying the foundations of modern statistics and devising tests and procedures that have become essential parts of the knowledge of every statistician. Paul D. Bartlett, for his leadership in advancing our understanding of the mechanisms by which chemical reactions take place, and for his success in training younger teachers and researchers. Herbert Friedman, for pioneering work in rocket and satellite astronomy, and in particular for his contributions to the field of X-ray astronomy. Lars onsager, for a brilliant variety of seminal contributions to the understanding of electrolytes and other chemical systems, and especially to the thermodynamics of systems in change. Eugene P. Wigner, for his many unique innovations in the physical, mathematical, and engineering sciences, ranging from quantum chemistry to nuclear theory, and from reactor engineering to civil defense.
I want to express my appreciation to the distinguished overworked members of Congress who honor us with their presence here this morning, particularly to the outstanding members of the scientific community who have come here to share this day with the recipients of this very high honor. Very happy to see several members of our cabinet and Dr. Seaborg and Dr. Hayworth also present. Since this will perhaps be the last official meeting that we'll have to distribute medals in this room, I hope I may be pardoned if I can pin my own presidential medal on some of the guests here this morning to kind of accompany this ceremony with you. I had just completed the last conference with every member of President Nixon's cabinet. And I found them highly interesting and I think very profitable, and I look forward to the work that they will do in the years ahead for all of us. But as we look forward to the future, we must also look back to some of the things of the past. I had planned to have 3 people here this morning to award very special recognition by asking them to rise and meet you. But we had an unfortunate situation develop last night in the Senate, where my grandson, who I wanted to recognize, got a hold of Senator Dirkson's glasses, and he has been barred from the East Room for the rest of this administration by Ms. Johnson. So I cannot recognize one of the 3 that I had planned to recognize. I do want to ask Ms. Johnson to stand and present her as one of the recipients of the Presidential Award. Almost every American citizen really believes that this house belongs to all the people. This room can never be entered without my getting clearance from her, so I want to thank her for making this ceremony possible. And the next person who's been at my side all through my presidency and has been with me in both sunshine and sorrow, always faithful and always dedicated to doing the greatest good for the greatest number, is our distinguished Vice President. Vice President. Now, these 2 awards that I have made have not gone to the people who have spent their time in the laboratory and have thought about some of the world-shaking discoveries that you distinguished men have. But they do have some familiarity with another science known as political science, and at least they're going to be my counselors in the days ahead. So thank all of you very much.